Let's start with, Booksmart, baby.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Strong Female Lead. I am one of your hosts, Tessa,
And I'm Tricia.
and today we are continuing our wonderful series about coming-of-age movies with what is sure to be like the best movie of 2019, in my humble opinion.
SFL opinion.
SFL opinion. So here on the podcast, we talk about women in TV and film and whether or not Hollywood is getting it right. Are they getting it right in their portrayal of women in TV and in film? And so this week, we bring you a film. We bring you a 2019 banger, the directorial debut from Olivia Wilde, the epic coming-of-age Booksmart. Oh, it was so good. I'm so excited.
So good.
It's so good. Guys, everyone just stop what you're doing. Watch Booksmart if you haven't already. It gives you all the feels. It's so good. It's so good. And it shows such a good friend relationship between the two lead characters. And you just see what you think about people isn't always correct. We assume too much. And, everyone's making choices in life. And it's so good, guys.
And it's so inclusive.
Yes.
It's so inclusive, and it isn't even a question of why it's inclusive. Including people isn't even part of, including people is part of the theme, but not in the way that you're expecting it. It's not because of someone's gender identity or their race or sexual orientation. That's just all there. That's just all there and fully accepted. The issue of inclusion is whether or not you are open to learning more about other people rather than just kind of writing them off. It's amazing. It's so modern.
It's so modern.
It is so modern.
Yeah. I feel like this was probably the first time I actually thought well, it's probably not the first time, but this is the first time in a while that I've seen a high school that actually kind of reminded me of my own high school, where it's just diversity is not, it's just present. It just is. There's no explaining. There's no this is like in a Mean Girls way. This is the Asian clique and the and the cool, the cool other people.
Right.
It's just high school. Everyone was just on that same wavelength for the most part. Of everyone's just trying to fit in or get in where you fit in, and have someone to eat with at lunch. You have your core group of friends, and then your ancillary friends.
This was not what my high school was like.
Really?
Oh my God. No, my high school was mostly white girls that looked like me, and we were all wearing uniforms. So it was the opposite. Seeing this, I was just like, what? This is amazing. This is what I would have hoped my high school looked like. But oh, no. Mine was very much, everyone was very homogenous. We also wore uniforms because it was a Catholic school. That's not how you say it. Sounds like a porn, but it was the opposite of this. And then we had to come up with cliques that were based on such nuanced things. You know what I mean? It was these people just went to this grade school, so they all hang out together, or these people, do this. It was not, no, nothing like my high school, and I loved it.
Yeah. I'd say with the exception of the LGBTQ plus awareness, outside of those things, this looked a lot like my high school. Just because it was 2006, and though those things were around, it wasn't as celebrated and so rightfully normalized as it is in this. And I'm oh, this makes me very hopeful for kids who are growing up right now to see a movie like this and just feel so accepted and normal. Again, Booksmart fucking killing it.
Totally. No one was making fun of anyone else about any of those things that kids were made fun of when I went to school. They were made fun of for other reasons because kids can just be cruel, but it wasn't because of anyone's weight. It wasn't because of anyone's race or anything. It was very like sex positive, body positive, just all of it. It was just so cool. I was like, is this real? Is this what they're like now? Because then kids, oh, so is this supposed to be like more of a, like an aspirational?
I think it's slightly idealized. I don't think it's like, I don't think you can walk into an average American high school and be like, this is, you know, Booksmart nailed it. Like, I think that those things are happening when people are still being fat shamed and
Okay.
you know, having their sexual orientation shamed. I think those things are still real. I just, yeah, I know it's, well, I hope it's not to the degree that it was when we were in high school. But I kind of think it's always funny when people shame each other for caring. About caring about anything, and I was like, so I have an interest.
Oh, right.
They're always like, you know, nerds, like calling someone a nerd. I'm like, are we still doing that in 2020 and 2019?
I know, haven't we all realized that nerds rule the world?
Exactly.
And I feel like in the age of tech, nerd, I would see it being very difficult if kids had any idea, which they do because they're all tech junkies.
Yeah.
Like make fun of someone for having an interest in it. That person needs to be like, I'm gonna be rich.
Well,
So bye-bye.
I think like weirdly the definition of nerd has changed because now I would consider more of like a jock athlete, someone whose interests take them out like outside of school, would be more of a nerd than the people who like when we were in high school you would consider like a kind of a loner gamer, someone who's like very into tech, a nerd for having those interests that like take them out of like society. But like now society is online, so anything that takes you away from being online I think would make you a loser or like a nerd.
Dork! Stop playing football! I know, now people should shame kids for playing football and be like, you're gonna have CTE, motherfucker, and just like call them like brain damage or something. I know that's terrible. Very, very bad. Maybe cut out. But I am thinking in terms
than, like kids would say.
That is what a
Like,
high schooler would say. Okay, brain damage. Like that is totally what they would do. As it was coming out, I was like, I'm just summoning my high schooler self. You have to simplify the insult and you have to hit the mark with it and then also be really shitty about it.
Oof.
Anywho, so what's the plot?
A lot of feedback.
Yeah, sorry guys, there might be a little feedback here. We blame Zoom. Everyone's having issues.
Yeah, I'll cut all that like weird staticiness out. And now it just stopped as if it hurt us.
And you're very clear. Don't move.
Weird. I'm trying my best. I already went to yoga sculpt today, so my body is like jelly right now. So I can't guarantee that I can hold this position.
Just hold that core. Hold that core.
Please breathe in and out through your mouth.
That is real weird. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have a. No. Do you ever go to yoga? They always say that stuff. I'm like, I'll breathe when I want.
I can't breathe the way they want me to breathe. So it just, I've never been able to. I can't.
It's my quiet rebellion. I was like, I'll breathe when I want. Thank you. I'll breathe when I feel it's appropriate.
There you go. I'm not paying you to tell me when to breathe.
No, I'm telling you, I don't know why I'm paying you at all because all you do is hurt me. It's a very abusive relationship. And then you have to be like, oh, great class at the end. Was it? Because I was walked in just fine and now I'm leaving. I'm in a pretzel of pain.
For sure.
Ugh. Okay. So Booksmart, let's talk about the plot.
What's
So
it about?
the overall plot is on the eve of their high school graduation, two academic superstars and best friends realize that they should have worked less and played more. Determined not to fall short of their peers, the girls try and cram all 4 years of fun into one night. Um, I love it. Even as a synopsis, I'm on board. I'm on board. I love these type of like one night adventure uh, comedies because it feels like more of like a high school thing where you get like one spark of inspiration and then you fall down a rabbit hole with all of your friends and somehow it always ends up being like 3 a.m. in a Taco Bell drive-thru and you're like, what just happened? Where's my life going? Uh, I think I've undo every good decision I've ever made in my life in one afternoon. See, I
But you discover the meaning of life.
yes.
That's what you do.
Yes, even in the synopsis alone, I'm just like, that is like the whole, like, I feel like that's like such a universal high school experience in realizing that academics is only, half of it. And, whichever way you fall on the spectrum, like maybe you're having too much fun and not paying attention to school, or you're like these girls who are paying maybe an excessive amount of attention to school and not to the social uh, aspects of high school. I was like, either way, I think most people fall on either side of that dichotomy. And I was definitely more academically focused until my junior year. As soon as I got my acceptance letter, I was like, do what I want.
Yeah, for sure. I love these one night comedies. It's the same reason I love Dazed and Confused. I just love a night of madness. I love a night of madness, of fun characters that pop in and out, and where you're figuring out life. You're just ambling along, and the experience is taking you where it is, and then it just makes you look at everything a little bit differently. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Love it.
Yeah. So in the movie, the two friends, who's Amy, who's played by Caitlin Deaver, and Molly, who's played by Beanie Feldstein. So the two girls, it's their last day of high school, and they're just the cutest best friends.
Oh my God.
I think they've been best friends like their entire like school careers. They've got that type of friendship, finish each other's sentences, know each other's secrets, all the secrets, are so funny together. But it's the last day of school, and they run into some classmates who they feel kind of fucked off for all 4 years. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, they pretty much did. One of them has like the reputation of being like like a blowjob queen. And then, one failed seventh grade twice. And I was like, interesting. One's just like the party guy who's like always high, blah, blah, blah. So she runs into those three characters in the bathroom, and they're talking shit about Molly's character, who's the class valedictorian. She's done all the things. She has her whole life planned out at all of 17. And I was kind of like that as a high schooler. I was like, I know exactly what I want to do. There's no deviation from the plan. Uh, very focused up until like my after I passed the ACTs, after I got my ACT scores, and I was like, solid. I got into college, and I was like, done. I'll see you in college. Responsibility, and
Right.
I did. Senior year was great. Senior year of high school was great because I feel like I had like 1 year of like more fun than academia. So.
Oh, for sure, because you get to have the senior slump where you just sort of stop doing shit because you've already been accepted. It's wonderful. All you have to do is really not fail.
Yeah, all you have to do is graduate. And you're like,
it's great.
So good. So for all you high school juniors out there.
Right, hold on.
Yeah, hold on. You're almost done. You're almost done.
The adult equivalent is when you've already found another job.
Yeah.
And you're just sort of closing out on your other position. And but it's a little different because like you could be fucking over other people. So I guess nothing ever truly compares to the senior slump. Because even if I'm transitioning to another job, I do like to keep a good relationship with the former job. So I don't really like to just screw them over entirely and just be like, well, bye. Not doing anything, but you do have to try less. The stress is off. Let's put it that way. The stress is gone.
Yeah. I imagine this is what like a week-long honeymoon would feel like. It's like I just planned the wedding, I just got through this large engagement
Mm.
and this wedding planning, which and the wedding, which
Right.
was great, but also I don't want to do it again or anymore or speak about it or think about it ever again. That is what I imagine for me the adult equivalent would be. Like so much stress for one day, which is your graduation day or wedding day, and then you're like, great, now I can go on vacation
Right.
and then
Bye.
resume my regular life.
I'll
I
let
feel
I'll
like,
let you know when that
yeah,
comes. So what are these let's talk about these characters. Fucking Beanie, who's
yeah.
amazing. I've seen her in other stuff. She was in Lady Bird, but she was just a supporting role. She's great as a lead.
Yeah, I really liked her. I really like her as an actress. I love that they chose her. Um, Her character is, I mean, her and Amy are Molly and Amy are both leads, but I think we follow a little bit more closely Molly's story, or she has just a more dominant personality than than Amy. Molly has a dominant personality over Amy, but yeah, we see her kind of like her her kind of fall apart when she realizes that like all the stoner kids and fuck off kids who were just she perceived as blowing off high school, not caring, all got into just as good or better schools than she did. And we
Which
see
is
her
not
just shatter.
that's not that wouldn't happen.
Yes, it does. Oh my God. These kids are
You
already rich. This is extremely plausible that they're
oh, so you think it's just because of the money
well,
and
I think that like
they're
the one girl, the blowjob girl, was like very smart. She's like, I got a 1560 on her SAT. I was like, so she's fucking smart. She can also give a good blowjob. Congratulations, you hit the jackpot. Uh,
I was just surprised. I was like, wait, what? You got into where? And what? Just because like it wasn't that common for people from my high school to all get into those places. But fuck it. All right. Well, yeah.
yeah, I was just assuming they lived in a rather affluent suburb of LA, just
Yeah.
given the access to wealth these kids have.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So like they probably have a parent or grandparent who went to an Ivy. So not to say that they're not smart, but they had an easier trajectory to an Ivy.
Yeah.
Where it
That
seems like
makes
Beanie
sense.
Feldman, or Fieldstein, excuse me, Molly's character, may not have had the same access to Ivy, so she had to work super hard to get in.
Access to Ivy. Love that. That
Ew.
someone used that as a title for a screenplay. Access to Ivy. Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Well, yeah, she gets real pissed off. Understandably so. And then she's like, what the fuck have these 4 years been?
right? Isn't that like world shattering?
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
like
It's
I'm
just
trying to think of
paradigm shattering.
yeah, to be like, oh, I could have fucked off. I could have, I mean, she kind of did what she wanted. I'm like, I don't feel that bad for her because she had the best friend of Amy, and they did all the things that they wanted to do together. So I understand that she maybe could have been doing different things or like more wild quote unquote things. But I'm like, I feel like you had the high school experience that you wanted. So, but you know,
Yeah.
for the
Either
purposes
way.
of the movie, yeah, she falls apart and kind of they hatch this plan to live their high school experience all in one day, so they don't graduate as like losers in their own mind, having not experienced like college parties and making out and all the like all the high school shit, getting drunk and high and all of that. Uh,
Mm.
and so they go on the wild tale. They meet Jacob, who is like hashtag my favorite. I loved Jacob. He's like the richy rich guy who's trying to buy everyone's affection for
Oh,
how he
yes. He was awesome.
yes, and his best friend is uh
Oh,
Billy
Gigi.
Lord.
Yeah,
Billy Lord's
Gigi.
character, Gigi. Gigi was so funny. And I feel like I love Billy Lord because of this character. And I saw this movie before I saw her in American Horror Story. So I think like every time she plays like a witchy, like wild woman, I just want her to be Gigi
Right.
and bring that to
She
American Horror
is.
Story.
She's a version of Gigi. In a lot of her roles, there's a Gigi in there.
Hmm.
I think Billy Lord, I wonder what she's like if she just gets typecasted as these types of roles and if that has anything to do with like the eccentricity of her mother or anything like that. But
Yeah.
like she is so good at just these like this was like a modern like Penny Lane-ish like wild child,
Yeah.
just like rambling around. I loved it.
Yeah.
She's so good.
And yeah, she does act as like a very interesting, like funhouse mirror to these characters about like, because she's the one who gets into Harvard, and she's like, it was my fifth choice, and I was like, shut up, just shut your face.
She jumps off the ship, and it's like, I thought she was dead for a second. And I was like, but no one cares. But then she's at the next part. She's at every party before they're at it, which I love.
I love that. And she's like completely dry. And I was like, what?
Oh yeah, no, she's ready.
And she
Oh
does that
God.
dead man's float. And it was like, is she dead? She was in that water for a long time, or it seemed like a long time.
It's like she died 3 or 4 times and
Yes.
came back to life for each party. We have the principal, who is the totally lovable Jason Sudeikis. Like,
Yes.
I want him as a part of my life. I also am very attracted to him. I think he just, I don't know. He's just smooth. I don't know what it is about it, but he's just smooth. I get it, Olivia. Like, he's attractive. He's handsome, but he's smooth.
I think he's just so funny.
And funny.
His sense of humor to me is what like puts him over the top. Yes, he's like a very good looking guy, but like without that personality, he'd be like,
yeah,
like a 7. I'd be like, yeah, you're good looking, objectively good looking, but without that the personality makes him an 11. Like,
he has to be so smart because he's so quick and his timing is so good that it's just very hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. He plays Principal Jordan Brown, who like just wants to get the F out of there, but is also moonlighting as an Uber or a Lyft driver, and then taking them to a party with underage kids drinking, which I think is hysterical because it just never becomes a question. He does not give a shit.
No.
Which he shouldn't.
Yeah,
like, and I don't know
school property, they're not his responsibility.
Yeah, but that is something you would get in trouble for, like
What?
in school. Oh my God.
In school, yeah.
But I think it's maybe because they're graduating, or maybe because just in this amazing idealistic high school, like the adults just don't give a fuck what you're doing outside of school, which I love.
Yeah, I mean, what is he gonna do unless he calls the cops on them? Like, that would be the worst narc move, to call like be a principal, find a high school party, and call the cops just so you can punish them at school. I don't like what.
Yeah, it would be terrible. But we've got him, we've got Caitlin's parents, Will Forte and Lisa Kudrow, who are like really into the fact that she's a very brave queer child of theirs. And I just really, really love that. And I think that her and Beanie are dating because that's what parents do, especially if they're somewhat conservative, which they said that they were, pretty religious. You assume like the female your kid is hanging out with must be the lover.
Yeah. Well, and they almost behave like lovers.
Yeah, I guess I see them more as sisters. Like, they act as sisters, but definitely when they were like in front of them going to the party, and like she was like, Beanie was behind her, like grabbing her toes and like lifting her arms and stuff. I was like, oh my God, I love this.
I love that. I loved Lisa Kudrow. I think she's so funny. I wish I saw her in more things. Hopefully in the future we'll continue to see her. I think she's so funny. And Will Forte is just ridiculously funny. I wish he was my dad, my movie dad. Like, this was phenomenal. I also really liked seeing Jessica Williams and SFL showing up, making a little appearance in another movie as Miss Fine.
My God. She is incredible, and she's so beautiful.
Yes.
She is so stunning.
Yes.
And I just love her character, and she just definitely sleeps with a student, and it's just never a thing, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, oh God, girl.
I know. Why are you at that party? She's like, wouldn't it be weird? Wouldn't it be weird if I just showed up? She goes in her fucking Michael Jackson coat, looking awesome.
See, I feel like Miss Fine is what happens when you don't do the wild shit in high school or in college. You end up a Miss Fine.
Exactly.
Doing it at like slightly inappropriate times. I'm like,
and that's what she tells them. Don't make the mistake I made. And then she's like, she goes there and she sleeps with the kid with the really long hair. Yeah, very inappropriate, but we just kind of like roll past those sort of things. The one girl, the girl who played AAA, she's a pretty good actress. She's in the show Animal Kingdom. That's the only place I saw her. She was in the first season of that. It's sort of like what I've been told, it's like a Sons of Anarchy light. I never saw Sons of Anarchy, but it's like a version of that. It's based off an Australian movie about a crime family. So she is in that and plays a girlfriend. And Diana Silvers, who was in Ma,
Yeah.
as the beautiful girl whose limbs weren't attached, and we didn't understand like why her character was the way that it was. She plays this role way better. There wasn't much to her. It was very simple, but I thought she like, well, I think she's so beautiful, and she just looks like this, like you're gonna see her at Woodstock, and she has all that fringe, and she's like too cool for school and kind of mean, and I thought she played this role better than the awkward role in Ma, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about Molly. Let's talk a little bit about Amy. And then we can talk about their strange, like, blow-up breakdown at the party. I'm like, I feel like you're not really friends with someone until you have, like, a public...
Yeah. Like, how many years of pent up, just, like, anger and resentment, and they're just like, rawr!
Yes! Oh, my God. Which is, like, the most traumatic fight you'll ever have in your life is, like, with your friends like that. You're like, ah, you guys still love me, right?
For sure.
But so Amy's character is a little bit different. She definitely has like a type B personality to Molly's type A personality, where everything has to be set, everything is like perfect. She has, she's going to Botswana for what we know in the beginning of the movie, which is the summer, in order to like, just have, see the world and see some shit, as she would say, before she goes to college.
She's gonna make some tampons. Come on. It's amazing.
Hey, I love that. I hope it's real. I hope there's some charity in Botswana that's just like, but yeah, so she's just as smart. But she's on a slightly different journey with her sexuality. And like, she has this crush on this girl. What is her name? Ooh.
Oh my God, Riley.
Ryan.
Ryan.
You're right. Ryan. So she's like trying to talk to her, work up the nerves. She's had this crush on her for forever. And then Ryan invites her to, the end of the year party. And she's like, yeah, cool. Yeah, maybe I'll go. Yeah, we can do that. And so they set off, like the whole movie, the plot of the movie is them trying to get to this party so that Amy can hang out with Ryan, and so that Molly can like have this high school experience before, so she can say that she did it. And so they get to the part, well, they go on like various adventures to get to the party, kind of going, like meeting the ghosts of like high school past, where you're like a theater nerd and they go to a murder mystery party. And I want to be an artist when I grow up, and the murder mystery party is insane.
Oh my God, it's a total rich kid murder mystery party. Like I could not handle how good it was.
I thought it was Halloween for a minute, and I was like, no, but it's the end of the year. I was like, why? And I love when he's like, Mom, the house is mine until midnight, and the little sister is just like flicking him off in the kitchen, and I was like, I feel like that's a classic little sister move, and I loved it.
For sure.
I also really like, we see Billie Lourd's character pop up, and who's supposed to be like their weird spiritual guide, but she reveals that at the first party, where it's Jacob's party and it's on a boat and nobody shows up, and but she's drugged them. And so it cuts to this like little animated scene where they're Barbies and like none of their parts are proportional. And they're just like both feeling themselves and not feeling themselves as like Barbie versions of themselves.
It was so good, and they can't bend their legs.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah. And then Amy is really starting to like feel herself, like her Barbie Taz, and just her little ways. She's like, I know that this isn't supposed to be good for women, but I kind of like myself.
Yeah, which is the good part for women, just like yourself. if you happen to somehow have those Barbie proportions, congratulations.
And I knew when they gave him the strawberries that they definitely were like soaked in LSD or something. I was waiting for them to have the experience, and it is really funny. Like the second, I've never taken, it's actually better, you took it or not, but the second someone tells you, all of a sudden they're just like, what? And they just open up to the experience, and then it just hits them like fucking full force, and then they like run out of the murder mystery party walking like Barbie dolls. God, it was so good. So good.
Yeah. Did they have a little run in with the murder serial killer?
Oh my God. That was like such a small piece, but it was, and I'm glad that it was woven in later. Because otherwise, I mean, yeah, it was fine because they needed a lift ride, or they needed a ride, and him telling them not to be, stupid and someone could kill you and stuff like that. Like, that does seem like something that someone would do, and then it makes them seem a little more strange that they're making it such a big deal. And it would have been fine, but it does tie in perfectly later when they find out that he is at large and he's a serial killer. But he's like, God, don't show me your phone, it's private. And why he's letting them go is just shows like the invincibility. It's almost like it exemplifies the invincibility that like teenage girls feel, because who knows if they really would have been let go in a real life scenario. But the fact that they like just really come face to face with this and take off, and they're like, oh my God, you are so, and they're trying to steal his car, and they like, and that's how it starts, is they're trying to get it from him, and they pull their hair over their faces like masks or something. It was so funny.
In a pinch, what a great idea.
What a great idea. It's like, you guys are brilliant. This movie was so fast paced. I definitely would need to watch it again. There were lots of like little things that I think that I missed. And there was, every line was accounted for. There weren't any fluff scenes. Like everything meant something and added to the like the propelling of the movie forward. And I just definitely need to watch it again. Like even tiny details, like the license plate on the kid's car that says fuck boy, like fucking hilarious. And it's BOI. Just stuff like that was happening constantly. And I felt like I was missing it. I was like, this is fast.
Yeah.
Like, it is really fast.
Yeah, so like towards the end of the movie, we get like the big blow up fight between the two girls when they are kind of unloading 4 years of drama and pent up aggression on each other, which all comes out at this party where Amy has like, she throws up on a girl. She's trying to go down.
Oh my God, she tries twice to hook up.
That is so sad.
Oh God, it was so terrible.
I feel so bad for her, but also, I mean, come on, it works out in the end. Good. Don't be too mortified.
Yeah, because at first I thought she was really going to hook up with Ryan, and I was like, is this really gonna happen? Like, does this movie so feel good that she's going to get her crush? And then of course she doesn't. But like, I'm like, this is not happening. No way is this happening. And then, of course, Ryan is making out with Molly's crush, who's the vice president of the student body. And that seemed, while crazy and like that it would line up that way, and that seems much more for movie purposes, it seemed more likely that they wouldn't get their crushes the instant they were open to like finding them with no experience in doing any of that and no falls or fails beforehand. So like it was more realistic in that they didn't, but I really was like, when she was underwater, I'm like, is she gonna find her? You're gonna find her and make out with her? Is that what's happening here? I was like, oh my god.
I
And
feel like
no.
if they would have, like, if she would have gotten the crush, it would have like ended like an 80s movie where
Right.
the biggest problem in like an 80s teen's life is being noticed. Whereas this high school, everyone seems to be at least aware of each other.
Hmm.
So they've had that option for 4 years if they
Right.
wanted to make out. But yeah, it did seem a lot more realistic that something go wrong and
Right.
that you have to like again be resourceful and like salvage the night in some way, which ended up
Exactly.
being both better and worse. uh,
Yeah, because Amy ends up in prison because she becomes this like goddess freedom fighter
yes,
for
she
for the
ascends.
students.
She ascends, and like everything she says to the cop is just, it's so good. I was like, yes, yes. Oh,
Oh, when she's
I
like,
was,
I got shotgun. Just kidding, I don't have one.
yeah. I was like, nailed it, nailed it. I hope if I get arrested ever that I have the wherewithal to keep my literal wit about me.
She does. I love how you said that. She ascends. She truly does. She ascends out of her broken, having just thrown up on a girl
Mhm.
experience, and then she just takes over. She gets arrested for the whole class so that they can
Yeah,
all run away. But then
yeah.
she's in jail
Yeah,
in the
and she's
morning.
addressing Amy's critique of her and their big fight is that she doesn't do anything. She never takes action. She has all these plans, but if Molly wasn't there to push her, she wouldn't do anything. And so I love to see the kind of the conclusion of that storyline, um, or that character
Yeah.
arc in that moment. And I was like, SFL nailed it.
Oh
She
my
made a
God.
choice. She took action. It was clear. She wasn't a victim or caught up in the plot. She made her decisions. SFL.
And
Nailed
I
it.
love when they're in the morning when, you know, Amy's parents aren't getting her, which is really interesting. And Molly goes to the jail, and they don't even talk about the fact that she spent the night there or what that was like. They're just like right into, okay, so what are we gonna do? You have to graduate. She's like, well, I can get you out of here. She's like, how? Because we're gonna trade some information because we have seen this guy, and it's
Ah,
the wanted poster.
it's that pizza delivery guy.
Oh my God. And I knew it. I had to pause it, but I knew that they stopped on that picture as Molly was walking to go and see Amy um, in the jail. And they have all those wanted posters. And I saw it for a second. And then I was like, wait, wait, wait. And then I paused it. And I'm like, oh my God, he's the strangler.
Yeah, I didn't catch on the first time and literally the first time I saw this until she put it up on the glass. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what information do they have?
Well, that's the thing about this movie is they present it all to you and it's so perfectly done, but they do it so fast that it almost forces you to pause or do a rewatch.
Yeah,
It's brilliant because they really do give it to you. It's not out of nowhere. You wouldn't be like, where'd she get that poster? I didn't
yeah.
see her pick up a poster. Like, that doesn't make sense. That's stupid. No, they showed it to you,
Hmm.
but you would have had to pause to like know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah,
Olivia Wilde, well
right. She did
done.
such a good job. Um, my favorite scene is when they walk into the party wearing Miss Fine's clothes, and then Molly sees her crush from across the room, and then it just for some reason turns into like a dance sequence. And I was like, this is my exact high school like fantasy. This is exactly what I imagined all the time. It's just like random dance breaks in real life, and then it just like goes back. Just
It's like a musical comedy, yeah, or it's a musical sequence, very,
musical break.
very My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was so good. But Miss Fine, and I love her name, just Miss Fine.
Right?
She is fine.
Let's talk shop. In XFL, we have a couple criteria in which we like to think about and judge harshly our movies, our movie selections. And that criteria is: are the lead characters top billed? Does the character move / impact the plot? And does the character have agent? They love to give bonus points for things like passing the Bechdel test, for representation of diversity, which I think this hits all the mark. I think both lead characters are SFLs, in my opinion. They're both top billed. Both characters move the plot forward. The story follows their last night in high school, set off with the realization that they may have wasted 4 years not partying. And then they each have a conclusion to their story arcs, which is Amy figuring out that it's one thing to believe in something, and it's that next step to take action and do something, and to be honest to your friends about how you feel. I think Molly's character learns a similar thing. You need to be honest with your friends and tell them the hard truths at some point. Maybe don't yell it to them at a party, or, but I think Molly's character realizes, that she's judging people too harshly.
For sure.
And that academics isn't everything. And
balance.
That's what we're sacrificing for.
Balance.
Yes. What do you think?
I think you nailed it. I mean, they're definitely SFLs, and both of them. And it's so well done, because even though Beanie's character is more dominant, we keep going in between their real names.
Beanie is such a fun name. I know it's not a given name, but I'm like, as a nickname, that's a great nickname.
I know. It's the only name I can think of when I think of her. But Molly's character is more dominant, but Amy is just as much of an SFL, man. Top build, agency, move the plot along. I'm sure this passes the Bechdel, even if they're talking about a romantic crush, because they're talking about a woman, Ryan. And it also raises awareness to topics like diversity and inclusion and femininity and what that looks like. And it's just, oh my God.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
So effortlessly. Like, I feel like sometimes when podcasts like ours are bringing up these things that, like, hey, if we could show, more diverse body types, more diverse peoples of color, sexual orientation, seniors, older people, specifically women over 40, that it seems like such a hard, like, thing for Hollywood to do. And this movie just reminds me that it's definitely not that hard to fill a room or a set with diversity and diverse voices, diverse actors. I freaking loved it. I mean, I don't know what was happening behind the screen outside of Olivia Wilde, and the screenwriters were all women also. So I'm happy to see that. But I mean, I don't know what's going on behind, who the camera people are and all that. But I'm sure that diversity, if it's in front of the screen, hopefully it was continued behind the camera lens also. And I suspect that it was. It seems like it was an important thing.
It's very intentional.
Yeah.
I think. And it was so funny without being mean.
Yes.
And it was also, it brought like a full-figured girl, Beanie. She is in the movie, and it's not about her feeling any sort of shame about what she thinks her body should or shouldn't look like, nor is anyone else shaming her. It's not even a part of the equation.
Yeah.
And that is a total rarity to see in movies in general now, and especially with younger characters.
Yeah.
When they're supposed to be so self-conscious and about all these things, and she's not. She's like very, very, she's almost abrasive, and it's like, and she knows that she has that kind of side to her, like when she talks about her lift rating or something. And it's so funny because
I'm so afraid of people with low lift ratings. What are you doing?
I know, what are you doing? But because it's not hard to get a good rating. You just basically have to not talk and show up within 5 minutes. I mean, they really give it to you. They hand it to you on a silver platter. And so, like, the fact that she is abundantly confident, almost pretty much, like, you could even say cocky, and that none of her issues stemmed around any of those things that we would think would be her issues, in order to fit in. It was just, I don't imagine it was easy to do, but what it did show is that you absolutely can do it because there's enough material out there. There's enough stories out there. You just have to tap into them and kind of open your mind a little bit. Think outside the box. You don't need to be making fun of someone in order to be funny, which is a huge thing. Like, no one was mean to anyone. I mean, even when she approached, I mean, the AAA thing was the one thing, and that was shitty, and they gave that girl a chance to say her piece, and then Beanie realized that she was in the wrong, and then also pointed out that Amy never called her AAA. So like that was handled very well. That is the only thing, and they did the fuck, marry, kill thing, but none of it was about, and I don't want to keep harping on it, but it's because it really, we don't see it that often. None of it was about Beanie's body shape not living into some like crazy societal standard. It was more about her personality.
Yeah.
And they kept saying she's super cute, like they'd fuck her, but they probably have to kill her if given these options because they're afraid of her. So it was just it was handled so well.
Yes, I loved Beanie's character, and I really liked thinking about Beanie like juxtaposed against the lead character in Shrill, kind of like an It Gets Better scenario. Like I feel like people of our generation, like this, the elder millennials, kind of have more of a worldview that would align more with Shrill. And it's just nice to see that Gen Z will have an outlook on body positivity that's more aligned with Beanie. But I would also just like to call her particular. I don't think there's anything wrong with being particular. If you have an opinion, fucking say it. It's something you should instill in yourself young, because it will only benefit you.
Because being a woman in today's society is not easy. And there is always the chance, and not even a chance, there's a likelihood that there will be experiences that will, whether you want them, it's not a good teaching, but they'll have the impact of dialing you down, of having you want to dial down or dial your personality down or your opinions down. And it just happens. It's not right. It's way better to come in hot. And then if you do end up pulling back at all just because society and life sucks, you'll still be strong as fuck. Like, I just think about a conversation I had with my cousin, and he has 2 daughters. And when his daughter was really young, and this was when you still kind of, he said that she was being called bossy. And he was really, really progressive in his thinking, because this was before the like, don't call me bossy sort of campaign came out, or like, it's not bossy, you're just being assertive, like don't call women bossy. He said, he's like, I want her to speak up. I don't tell her to not say her opinion or to not jump in or any of those things, because the world takes down women so quickly and kind of like makes them smaller that I don't want to have any part of that. I want her to be able to do that, and so that she has a chance of continuing to do that later, like, because if you learn it at home, it's even harder to break out of it.
Yeah.
You don't have a safe space where you were able to be that way.
Yeah.
100%.
And I love that, like, in this film, we see, like, though Amy is expressing it in a very, like, aggressive way, but, like, who, you get to decide who gets to tell you about you. Right. And Amy is a person who can tell Beanie about Beanie. She's her closest friend. And so I think, like, just listen to or be selective in whose feedback you take to heart. Which was something I would tell my younger self, like, instead of taking in the world's feedback, take in the feedback from the people who in your life who are important, and also have, like, integrity, who wouldn't just be, like, trying to belittle you to get their way and things like that. But yeah, like same thing, but also if you don't have a safe space in that person, like you were saying, if you can't at sometimes be your most assertive, wild, no filtered self, then maybe that's not a person that you would take their feedback as
Right.
seriously.
Right, because in order to give that feedback to you, you've got to, or in order to receive that feedback from someone, you have to feel like they accept and love you for who you are. So they've got to be able to handle or embrace that side of you. But then also, if they are doing that and they've got something to say about how it might be impacting them, for sure.
Yeah.
Love it. All around, man. So good.
Do you have any thoughts of femininity or masculinity from Booksmart?
I mean, yeah, just there wasn't any queer character who really seemed to have to fall into a box of femininity or masculinity, and I liked that because that is the whole point of being able to be open and queer. So no one was defined as a lesbian or a gay guy. They were just who they were. And I loved that. And I think that broke open ideas and stereotypes we have about femininity and masculinity. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I think everyone, for me, performed femininity and masculinity in a way that was authentic to them. Again, I really like Jacob's character for just being like the one character who like doesn't fully get it, but does have, the things that he loves, he holds like close to the chest, like his thing about wanting to be a aerospace engineer, and then
use the money to
fund original musicals. And I was like, and traditionally in a high school movie, that would be considered a feminine thing to love musicals. But I just loved that was why he I just loved it. Loved that kid.
I know. He was adorable. Yeah, it was great. It it was like so good. I can't even explain.
Yeah. I feel like the interesting thing about this movie for me is that because like the women were so all right, I think I did pay a little bit more
attention to the guys.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, the women are okay. We're all making decisions, saying what we want, moving plots forward.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? But the guys were even well written too.
Right.
With like some dynamic aspects to their personalities and desires. And they all had wants. Everyone in this movie wanted something and was going after it. And I was like, oh my God.
I know. And then it also showed that you can make people strong in a film without creating the other characters as very tiny characters. So even though this was very female forward, they didn't make the guys look dumb.
Yeah, and they weren't their enemy. I loved that.
Yes.
There were at points where there was like, okay, you're making fun of my girl Beanie, and keep those jokes to ourselves, or just not at all.
But it wasn't because it was a boy.
Yeah.
It was, because AAA was doing it too. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I don't remember her name in the movie. I feel bad. But no, she was doing it also. And so they didn't have to make them their enemy. They didn't have to make them small and minimal. They didn't have to, simplify the other characters. Yeah. See, guys, women can do it. Let's see a male forward film. Yeah. Written, directed by men that does this.
Yes. And to me, I now think it will be my mission to find a male-led movie that does the same thing for women that women just did for men in this movie. And I love it in the end because Jacob being my favorite male character, like he becomes an ally to them and like giving them a car and like.
I know. Oh my God! And going up and giving her speech. I am a woman, and he does it word for word. And the reaction in this stand is so funny. They're like, okay. I just, who does this? And I should know his name because he's very, very famous. Who is the writer of The Good Place?
Michael Schur.
Michael Schur. So I heard him interviewed on Dak Shepard's podcast, and he talked about making comedy that isn't mean or a put down, towards other groups, and how he does not think it's necessary. He doesn't think you have to do that in order to be funny. And I've only seen maybe like 3 seasons of The Good Place, I think. And it does that. I mean, it's mean in the sense that like the one character is supposed to be kind of mean because she was supposed to be in hell.
Yeah.
But it's
But
not
be honest.
specific.
Yeah. I think it's always like she's just the most honest. It's perceived as mean because we don't want anyone to tell us honest things about ourselves. But,
I mean, she's a little rude, but like
yeah, okay, never mind.
I mean, I like it though, but it's not based on anyone's race. It's not based on anyone's group. And the comedy, and she's supposed to have been in hell, and she showed up in heaven, and then I don't know, it gets all upside down. I'm not really sure what that is, but I think it is possible, and it can be really funny.
Yeah.
So there's a guy who is making attempts to do that, but I haven't seen like a movie
Yeah.
with a male lead.
The male
A male lead that
Yeah.
does that.
Yeah, I want specifically a coming of age film with a male
Mhm.
lead that pays that has female characters that aren't a girlfriend or a sister.
Mhm.
Like a
Mhm.
love interest, that's fine.
Mhm.
But she is her own character. I'm thinking of like right now, just because it popped up in my little thing of those Percy Jackson movies. I really like those. I love fantasy, guys. I love a little bit of fantasy. But Alexandria Daddario could
I don't know.
be a one where she is. That could work. Guys, if you've seen that movie and you also agree with me and you love Percy Jackson and you don't know why they didn't make a third movie, go ahead and leave it in the comments.
Chime in.
Chime in, because I'm devastated that they're not going to make the third movie because I've been waiting.
So tell me, Tessa, what do you rate this film? I know, I already know, but I want to know what the thing you're going to use as the rating tool is.
Ooh. 5 out of 5 jump scares from what's her face? Billy.
Love that. Gigi.
Gigi. Yeah.
I love that.
Boo.
I know. She's just ready to party. She's everywhere. She's like an omniscient presence.
Right?
She ascends
She
as
is
well.
that too. Yes, I want to give her a tiny hat SFL because she was like just so good. I don't think she moves the plot along, so she can't be the SFL.
No.
But I think
It's
she
true.
has one from American Horror Story, didn't she?
Yeah,
Give her one.
she's great. Billy Lord, we love you. I'm gonna give this 6 out of 5.
What? You broke the scale?
6 out of 5
Whoa!
stop motion Barbies.
That probably was my second favorite scene.
It was so good. And yeah, I'm breaking the scale, man. And I'm breaking the scale because not only is this such a good movie, but it is a perfect representation of what we have said we have been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that we have had, even in my most favorite of favorite movies, I don't think I've seen one that does it as it relates to what we're trying to do on this podcast.
Yeah. And it was fucking funny.
And it was so funny.
Yes.
God. It was, 6 out of 5. It broke the SFL scale. I think this is the first movie to break the SFL scale. Hollywood, are you listening? This is what we want to see.
Yes.
This is what we want to see. This is what we are talking about. Someone has done it.
Yes.
They've shown it. Olivia Wilde, yeah, you're too famous for us, but reach out.
You should reach out to the screenwriters and see if they'll come on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh my God, because
Or
truly,
women. What are their names?
This is
Emily
it.
Halpern, Sarah Haskins, Susanna Fogel, and Katie Silberman. So good.
you're right, because they are as important, if not more important, than the directing of this. So all of them together
Yeah.
made this. It was awesome. Love it.
Love it. Guys, I think that's it. I think
Yeah.
that's it. Booksmart broke the scale. I agree with you,
Broke the
Tricia.
scale.
I think that I could. There is not a critique. There is no. This is a good time. It's streaming on Hulu right now. I don't know for how much longer. The time of recording, it's Saturday, 1:24 p.m. on November 14th.
Watch it.
Where your children are.
Yeah.
But go find it. It's streaming on Hulu. So watch this, and let us know what you think. If you're also just like all the nostalgia and all the like hope for future of Hollywood for these actors, these screenwriters, Olivia Wilde,
For kids.
the kids.
It's a feel good. It's a feel good, and it's still so funny. And you know, I tend to like darker things, and this is not dark at all. It is feel good the whole way through, and it is truly, truly, truly hilarious. Like, please watch it. I mean, that's all we can say. You can, and sorry guys, there may be a lot of feedback on this episode. We're gonna try our best to get it out of there, but we blame Zoom. So you can find us on Instagram at Strong Female Pod.
Yep, and tweet at us at SFL_Chicago. We have been seeing your recommendations for other coming of age movies, and I have loved them. I threw out there Matilda, and I lost my mind because I was like, when was the last time I even saw Matilda? It is a perfect film. Also,
oh my God, I know.
Do you remember how Matilda?
Yeah, and I just love the name Matilda.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Lady name.
And maybe we're done with our coming of age series. We're moving into the holiday series, but it doesn't mean we won't come back around, because these films are awesome. They're so fun to watch. I mean, I don't care if it's a trope. Everyone comes of age, so it just is an experience.
Yeah. Guys, and we are just done with this week's pod. So we will see you next week. We're starting the holidays off right with. Do you want to announce it, Tricia?
Yeah, we're gonna discuss Love Actually, which is a classic and definitely worth a rewatch if you haven't seen it since it first came out. It is not doing all the things this movie is doing, but it is enjoyable nonetheless.
It is enjoyable.
Okay.
I mean, it's just something you just love to love it, and like just don't think about all the
just don't think about it. We'll think about it for you, but then just don't think about it after that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.